Well, National Child Protection Week is an annual campaign held right across Australia. It helps create awareness of how to keep our kids safe and the new dangers they're facing, especially online.
Last year, Today set up some very eye-opening experiments, including a test to see how kids react to strangers in a park. This year, Today reporter Sarah Stewart revisited some of the families to see what they've learnt.
Excuse me, have you seen my puppy?
You might remember Rowena and her kids Mitchell and Georgia from Melbourne. Last year, with Rowena's permission, a retired police officer approached her children in a park to see how they'd react.
Just come give me a hand. Good on ya.
While Georgia followed the stranger, Mitchell yelled for help.
I think he's down there. No?
A year on, the family says the tears were definitely worth it.
I think I did learn a really good safety lesson, and I'm a bit more prepared if it happens again, but with a real stranger.
I'm really glad we did, because I'd rather have them here safe with us than not. So, really good, worthwhile experiment.
I learned that some people aren't always like your friends, and like you don't talk to them if you don't know them.
We did get requests from teachers to see if it was okay for them to play that exact same video in school to teach the other kids around.
We also met Queensland parents Jodie and Brendan and their kids, 12-year-old Flynn and 13-year-old Nate. They were trying to limit their kids' screen time. 12 months on,
were then and still are dead against them having a phone.
They've instead been trying watches and iPads with parental control functions, but
they were logging in with different email addresses and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, they set up email addresses.
They're clever little
They
tactics.
got into my phone, they figured out my password, and they changed all the settings because my phone controls their devices.
They would spend 12 hours a day on watching YouTube or doing some schoolwork, and then they disappear. And we just found that they were just going downhill. Like, they were just horrible. They were rude. They were messier. They were terrible little humans. So we just had to get away from that.
their solution, turning everything off.
We turned the Wi-Fi off after 7:30 at night, just to try and have some family time. There's no devices in bedrooms, even though they keep asking us to take the laptop into the bedroom.
My son and I also did a couple of experiments, and a year on, we still discuss how bad people don't necessarily look or sound scary. And as he's about to turn 7, we're now using safe technology to communicate when he's at things like soccer training or birthday parties that parents can no longer attend.
Hey, Mum, can you come and pick me up?
The Space Talk watch can do calls and text, has a GPS and, importantly, a school mode.
Get it. Chop out.
I didn't do anything.
Over here.
In New South Wales, we saw Strikeforce Trawler arrest 2 alleged online predators. They've also been extremely busy, this year making 40 arrests with 150 charges. At least 1 in 4 Aussie kids have been approached by a stranger online. The Safety Commissioner says parents need to know the dangers.
We've seen a surge of reports in terms of all forms of online abuse since COVID-19. We're seeing a much stronger COVID flavor in terms of some of the more serious cases of cyberbullying, like I hope you get coronavirus and die.
This week they're holding free webinars for both parents and kids.
Half of kids, when something goes wrong online, are more likely to talk to a peer or a sibling than they are to a trusted adult.
Tips for keeping the kids safe online are keeping devices out of bedrooms, turning off chat functions, and letting them know they can come to you if things go wrong, without fear of losing their device.
Because if you take away a child's phone in this day and age, it's like taking away their left arm.
Keep an eye on your kids and hold them close, and they're the most important things.
It's really scary. I remember when that story first went to air with those kids in the park, and it sent a chill down your spine.
Yeah, it was awful. Awful to know there are people still out there, but I guess in a way reassuring to know that the police are on top of it as best they can. Yeah, but an important story.